number one, when he says, you know, apparently that's not the best thing to maybe bring back a team. Well, it's not like it's the first time you won a championship. They already did it in 13. What did they think the problem was that team?
Right, he said every time.
So,
right, he says not the smartest thing to do it every time.
Yeah.
So he knows they've made the mistake before.
Yeah.
He totally knows it.
But when I hear, as far as the finances, you can sit there and say, John Henry, open up the checkbook. Let's go. Stop being cheap. Cheap. The guy spent $240 million on his team the last 2 years. What this tells me is that, hey, I told Dave Dombrowski you have this much money to spend, and he went out and gave it to Nate Eovaldi, and he gave it to Steve Pearce, rather than addressing a bullpen. And I don't think they're adding anything. I really don't know if they're adding anything, Joe.
You know why? They can add by subtracting, for one thing. Say you trade a Rick Porcello, who really, we'll get to my soft grades in the report card later, but has not had a good season, making $20 million or whatever.
What are you going to get for him?
It doesn't matter. You clear his salary. You clear some portion of his salary that allows you to go get a reliever, or you clear off somebody else.
And who starts?
Well, you got to go find somebody. I mean, that's the issue that the team has. But I'm just saying there are ways to subtract to create room to go add something.
But that's not Dave's MO, though. You know what I mean? He's like just to take a guy to minor leagues and add. I don't know. We haven't seen him really be all that creative as far as taking a piece out, freeing up some space, getting assets for that guy, and then having the space to go out and, you know, go out and get a guy.
So, look, I think they're going to do something. I don't know if it'll be subtracting Porcello, and I think they are going to add someone. But here's my point. If the number's at 246 that they can't go over, and they're pretty much at 240, okay-ish, what are you going to add? And because you're not going to give up a good prospect for a reliever, not for this team, and you can't take on a guy with a high salary anyway.
I wouldn't.
So you're going to take a flyer is what you're going to do.
I wouldn't put it past Dombrowski to trade a good prospect now because he knows his job is on the line in the next year.
Well, his contract is coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so in which case, though, John Henry can't let that happen because the future of the team is more important. And frankly, I'm with the owner on this one. He has spent his money. This is not an issue of how much money they've spent on the team. It's the fact that the money's been poorly spent. And if I'm John Henry, I look at him and say, no, suffer. And I look at my players and I say, get your heads out of your butts and start performing better, number one, and maybe you'll get some help. And then I look at the president and say, I gave you enough. You figure it out. You made this.
Yeah, see, and I agree. I mean, maybe John Henry's sitting there saying, I've given you enough money. You haven't put the team together. And Cora talking about how we can still win a World Series, and John Henry saying we haven't played up to our capabilities. I would agree. When you look at this lineup, we'll pick a few guys, Mookie Betts in particular, Benintendi and others. You know, but up and down this lineup, there's some guys that are performing. This rotation has been a mess. It's been a mess. It's been extremely inconsistent. So is there more from this rotation? Yes. Is there more from this lineup? Yes. I would say that this bullpen is pretty much pitched up to capability. I think this is exactly who they are. So to sit there and say, well, we can get more out of who? You want more out of Walden? Let's just because he had a good April, because he vultured some saves late, pitching middle innings, let's not say that he's a legit big league arm. Like who? No, these guys are. As a matter of fact, Workman is pitching well above what you imagined. Everybody else, I think they're actually pitching to who they are. There is no improvement to be made in this bullpen.
Yeah, and they're whistling past the graveyard on this one because Alex Cora says, we have the personnel to win the World Series.
Not a penny, though.
We have the people here. Dana LeMangry says, no, we have the guys to figure this out. And I like both of those guys. You know, to me, they're both capable, competent, smart, big league evaluators and coaches. And in the case of Cora, a heady player when he was when he played. But the fact is, they're short on talent in that bullpen. There's no gray area about that. And I think that they bought in, Lou. I do. I think the manager and the pitching coach said to Dombrowski, no, we can figure this out. You know, we'll throw curveballs. We're going to give you spin rate. We're going to give you this. And they're throwing curveballs out there, every orifice of their body at this stage. How many curveballs are they throwing?
And they elevate heater up.
All the time.
And
it's the same thing over and over and over again. That's right. They don't get anybody up with stuff.
No.
Not really. I mean, there were some good breaking balls there. But they don't overpower anybody. They don't just blow doors and dominate the strike zone. They don't do that. And so, to me, it's in a lot of ways, they're getting what they deserve. They took a cavalier approach to this season. They won 119 games, counting the postseason. They came back and said, no, we're good enough to half-ass it. We'll be okay. And they're getting bitten in the ass as a result.